Behind the Shades.
I am Renee Suzanne, and I decided to become a dating coach because I really struggled with dating. I lost my partner, the father of my four children, back in the 90s. So I was a single mom with all these kiddos, working and taking care of the kids and the house and the dog and all the things. And it was really lonesome. And after a couple of years of this, I wanted to try again and get back out there and find someone. And it was really tough. It was the early 2000s. Online dating was still very fringe. And there just wasn't a whole lot of help out there for folks like me. I would, go to singles events. I tried a matchmaker. I tried makeovers. I tried fix-ups. I tried going to dances at bars and just walking around my neighborhood with my dog. And it was just so not fun. So I started binging on self-help books, really. I was like, there has to be something I can do. I refused. I'm pretty stubborn. Just ask my husband. And I was like, I'm not giving up. I'm young and I really wanted someone to share my life with, and there must be a way that I can figure this out. So I started reading all the self-help books and doing all the things. And I just never gave up and learned everything I could. And eventually coaching did become a thing. And I hired a dating coach to help me and just fell in love with this field of coaching and being able to create the results you want in your own life, and especially in the area of love, where we are taught that it's supposed to just happen. Something has gone wrong. If this thing doesn't happen to you, it's just not in the cards. Like it's this magical thing that's supposed to happen to you or not. And I just refused to accept that. And I eventually was able to figure out how to date, and I found my husband on Tinder 6 years ago, and we've been happily married since then.
Well, first and foremost, congratulations on this is your second time being married, correct?
Yes.
Yes, perfect, perfect. Because I know for me, it's probably, I forget the year, but I was on dating apps probably for a few years. And I found it to be like this area where there was like high volume. There's so many people, right? And I can just imagine for women, because women tend to get a little bit more attention than men. And you're swiping, you're trying to figure it out. And then you run into a situation like you where you begin to think, is this really going to work for me? Am I really going to be able to figure it out? And then you try to, and this is probably one of the worst things that some people do. They look around and they say, I want this. I deserve this. And sometimes that prevents them from thinking, maybe you still have work to do to find the person that you're looking for. Did you reach a point in your life where there's a little bit of, I don't know this is going to work, but I want it so bad?
Oh, like every day. Yeah. Pretty much every day. I would get my heart broken and swear it off. And then a couple weeks later, I'd be like, I remember one time I was like literally sitting there in front of my computer, writing my new profile with a box of tissues next to me because I was still bawling about the last guy that broke my heart. And I was like, but I want to find somebody. And yeah, I really wanted to do this. And I do believe that we all deserve to have love. We want it and we deserve it. And there is often work to do, but you don't have to be perfect to have love. But the thing is, the person you're going to have it with isn't perfect either. So a lot of people, in the name of not settling, go completely the other way and set these impossible standards and keep themselves alone for years over it. And I honestly did some of that too. But I see, we all will have work to do for our whole lives. And I didn't have to become perfect to find love. I had to just kind of find somebody who had the qualities that mattered and let go of the things that didn't matter so much and be a little more open-minded. That's what my journey was.
It's like sometimes online anyway, since you're a dating coach and you may have seen it or come in contact with it, where there's like this running joke where women will say that I want a man that's 6 feet tall, 6 inches, six figures, and he's prepared for 6 hours of combat and argument.
Yeah, I call it like the three sixes: 6 foot tall, six figures, and six pack abs. Like there's something about that. Yeah, and you can want that stuff for sure, but what about the stuff that really makes you happy in a relationship? A lot of times we will put those things ahead of the things that actually matter when it comes to having a relationship. Oh, he has to be 6 feet tall and make six figures. He has to make me laugh. He has to know where all the good bars and restaurants are. We gotta, he has to like the theater. Like, why? Then you find that guy, but he's dating 6 other women. Are you happy? No.
I know for me, I found out the hard way because I had dating difficulty in my 20s. And I believe like a lot of men, because if I wanted to, let's say, take you out, I don't necessarily have the resources or the income to do so. Sure, we can go 50-50, but if I'm trying to impress the woman, I want to say, okay, you know what, Renee, we're going to go to this restaurant. I'm going to wear this. You're going to wear that. Because courting today or in the last 10 years is definitely different than courting, let's say, when my parents did it, where they just paid, right, 10 cents on the ferry, they went to the farmer's market and their husband was there. It's a little bit different.
Yeah.
Where for me now, what I realize is that I discovered, Terrain, what is it that you want from your partner? What are your negotiables? What are your non-negotiables? And when I was able to narrow that down, that's where I had better relationships, because I can say that this is what I'm looking for. For example, I'm looking for someone that is self-sufficient, someone that is able to take care of themselves, someone that shares some of maybe the same interest or similar interest, but doesn't have all of my hobbies. Like if I want to play, I don't do this, but let's say I want to play video games. If it's a non-negotiable, then I have to find someone that plays video games. I can't find Jane down the street and say, hey, Jane, you know what? You got to learn how to love video games because you have to be with me, and that's how it is. When you're working with your clients, do you find that some of them don't necessarily what they want from their partner and how they could maybe communicate, hey, this is what I want. Can you help me fulfill this?
Yeah, I think that's a really important point that you brought up is you have to know what the non-negotiables are. And maybe some things are negotiable and some things aren't. And you have to be, everything can't be a deal breaker. So your example about video games, if that is really a deal breaker for you, then it's a deal breaker for you. But everything can't be a deal breaker, or you're just never going to find anybody. So I like to call them like character-based must-haves. And I encourage for at least most of them to be character-based, like things like intelligent or kind or responsible. And then, hey, you could throw some video games in there if you want, but the six-pack abs and the six figures and 6 feet tall in video games, and he has to speak French and have a father who knows Portuguese and love playing Tetris at 3 a.m. And, come on. So you have to just know what the deal breakers are, the must-haves, and then be as open-minded as you can about the rest of it. So this is funny when you talked about the video games, because my husband, when he first started using the dating sites and apps, he's an avid skier and he really wanted to find somebody that would enjoy skiing with him. And so he tried putting that in his profile and then just couldn't find anybody and didn't get any dates for a couple months and was like, forget it. And went back to leaving it out as his profile. Ends up married to me, terrified of skiing. I tried it once. I'm amazed I didn't break anything. I'm glad I didn't die. And I was done skiing for life. But he didn't let that stop him from talking to me. We get married. I think we've been married a year or two. And he was like, hey, do you want to try skiing? And I was like, look, I'm terrified of skiing, but I'll try it. Will you just make sure I don't die? And he's like, sure. Turns out I love skiing. I just needed somebody to be patient with me and help me ski. So I get a lesson and he goes and skis the Black Diamonds,